Okay, so here we go with the final episode of the Dreamteam Diaries pre-season, and it's midfielders. We're premierships are won and lost. These guys are usually your captains every week, so it's crucial to get a good, solid midfield up and going. And also, this is where probably the area of the field where you probably want to build up first and try and make the most money from rookies, as well as there are probably more rookie options in the midfield than any of the other options available. So let's have a look at the strategy that I've kind of put together, which is 4 premiums, 1 mid-price player and 5 rookies. Now I've chosen that because the premiums at the top end are probably a little bit more expensive, but they're also the ones that you lock in and don't touch for the rest of the year. There's a couple of medium price players that you can choose, but there's probably I've only put in 1 in here just purely because you hope that 1 medium price player that you choose moves up close at least to premium status, so you keep him for the rest of the year as well. And I've chosen 5 rookies because you probably need a few more rookies in your midfield because there are so many to make enough money to upgrade all the players you need in the rest of your team. So that's why I've gone with that structure. So let's have a look at some premiums. I'll skip a few players here and there that have been listed, mainly because there's so damn many. But there's a few key ones that I think everyone needs, and I'll probably run through the top 20 premiums and then kind of just skip through the rest till we get to the mid-price and rookie players, which are probably more important, as it's pretty easy to pick out premium midfielders, to be honest. Dane Swan is obviously, I think everyone should have Dane Swan locked in as one of their midfielders. He's an awesome dream teamer and pretty logical pick as a captain. Ditto for Gary Ablett. It's probably a balancing act between the two. I'd probably recommend having both. Spending that money there, that probably locks away your captaincy problems for the entire year, to be honest. Dane Beams is only a midfielder this year rather than a mid-forward, which is probably why I'm not going to choose him in 2013, even though I expect his numbers to be exactly the same as last year. Matthew Boyd keeps churning out big scores and getting 30 possessions a game. Probably not as good in Supercoach because of his disposal. But in Dream Team, he's one of those consistent point scorers every week. That's probably a little bit underrated. Where are we? Next, Joe Watson, Brownlow medalist. Be interesting to see how he reacts to the controversies of the off-season at Essendon. So keep an eye on him. But I watched him at the Richmond Essendon pre-season game, and he was seeing the same old Joe Watson to me, churning out plenty of footy to his teammates. So definitely keep an eye on him. And in Supercoach, he's gold because of his contested footy. So definitely look at him there. Trent Cotchin, he could go up to top premium status or get heavily tagged, I think, in 2013. So he's a risk, but he's a risk I'm going to take. I'll probably take it because I'm a Richmond supporter, to be honest. Then he's probably taints my view of him a little bit. But I think everyone agrees that he's a fantastic player. But in today's game against the Doggies, he did get heavily tagged out of the game by Nick Lois. But he does spend time up forward, and I think when the full teams are out and the whips are cracking, I think Trent Cotchin will play well again in 2013. Scott Penalty, one of the elite in Dream Team midfielders. Nothing else needs to be said. Also great Supercoach. Brett Deledio really stepped up last year. He's no longer a dual position defender mid either, so just a mid. So he's probably not one that a lot of people will have. So he could be a good unique pick, but he might not be a good unique pick for long, as I think most people will have him as one of those players that they would upgrade to during the year if they haven't got him at the start. Brett Stanton, probably a little bit of a maligned player, but can have some mammothly gigantic games. And with Brandon Goddard coming to Essendon, he probably might get off the chain a little bit more even. So it'd be interesting to see. It depends on what happens. I think if Goddard plays across halfback still at Essendon, then maybe Heppel will go in the midfield and maybe Stanton won't go down that rung, but maybe Heppel will. But if Goddard does play midfield, then I think Stanton will definitely go to one down the run. Scott Thompson, everyone loves Scotty Thompson. Lots of footy, probably better in Supercoach, but I think he's good in both. I'd probably prefer him in Supercoach than Dream Team, just purely because of his handballing. But wins plenty of contested footy for Supercoaches as well, so he's probably great in both options. And at that price, compared to the very, very top guys in Swan and Ablett, he's at a super price. Steel Sidebottom keeps getting better every year, so he's no longer a dual position player either. No, he used to be a forward mid. Probably can have the odd bad, really bad game here and there where he might get 40 or 50, but few and far between, but still worth having a look. Shane Tuck just keeps trucking out good scores every year, so he keeps going like his old man. He could be pumping out good Dream Team scores for the next 8 years. At 540, I think if you want to have a alternative midfield that's maybe a bit unique, you can maybe have a look at forming a midfield that's maybe made up of one of Swan and Ablett. There may be a Shane Tuck, a Michael Barlow, and Matt Prittis. Guys that kind of consistently get a lot of footy every week, which Jack Redden does. So you could maybe put him in that mix as well. Big fan of Jack Redden. Probably if you walk down the street in Melbourne, no one would know who he was, but he is a beauty. As to his Joel Selwood, definitely a better Supercoach player than Dream Teamer, but still a fantastic Dream Team player as well. Gets a lot of tackles and also gets a lot of free kicks for. Andrew Swallow, very good player, much better in Supercoach than Dream Team. In Supercoach he can just explode in the massive scores. You look at maybe he's had an average score of 90 or something, or 85 or something in Dream Team, and you look at his Supercoach score and it's like 148 or something, so keep an eye on him for Supercoach definitely. Patrick Dangerfield, looks like he's having a great pre-season going on from last year, so he's definitely worth an option. Josh Kennedy, he's probably up in the top 3 or 4 in Supercoach, a little bit down in Dream Team, but is still worth a run in anyone's midfield. If you had to pick 4 or 5 of these as your premium midfielders, even like these last 4 or 5 out of this top 20 is probably you're gonna be competitive anyway. Sam Mitchell, ball magnet at Hawthorn, can't go wrong. Mark Murphy, underpriced there because of his injuries last year, so he's definitely a lot of value there. Captain of Carlton now. Looked good in the pre-season final and a couple of other games, so I don't think you'll be going wrong with Mark Murphy. And Brock McLean sneaks into the top 20 premium midfielders. Going to get off the chain a little bit this year, I think, Brock McLean, but the same token, he's never been known as a great outside player, so maybe with Judd and Murphy and all those guys coming back into the midfield, maybe Brock McLean might go backwards a little bit, back into maybe one of those mid-priced midfielders, but based on recent form, and his form in the NRB Cup final was good, he's premium. So pretty much I'd say take any 4 of those as your top 4 midfielders. There's a few in there that are more suited to Supercoach, but you can't go wrong. So we'll skip through a few others now. Brad Ebert at Port would be a unique pick. Here and Jack, I'd have question marks over in 2013. Not because I don't think he's a good player, but I don't think he's worth 505,000. Ditto with Sean Grigg. He's an outside player. Sooner or later, I think he's going to get that release he gets at Richmond off the wing. Probably get shut down. Scotty Selwood, underpriced, I think, at 503. I think he's going to go up again for the West Coast Eagles. I almost had him in my team at the start of last year. It's killing me I didn't put him in. I thought, oh, I can't remember who I swapped him out for, but it killed me when he really exploded last year. Paul Chapman, I've discussed in the forward line, and it's probably a little past his best. James Kelly has also had an injured pre-season. Steve Johnson is missing with injury. Brendan Goddard, probably better picked as a defender, more value there. Callum Ward at GWS, good solid player there. Excellent captain. 501,000, probably not worth putting in as a premium, I don't think, over some others in the top 20 there. Ryan Griffin will definitely go up from 500,000 in 2013, and should really probably be in that top 20 midfielders, as I discussed before. He's going to have a brilliant year in 2013, I think, and probably emerge as the Western Bulldogs' best player. Ryan O'Keefe getting on at the Swans, so probably give him a miss. Lee Montagna is having a renaissance in the pre-season at the Saints in 2013, back to his very best, but generally I think he's trending downwards. Once one of the very top midfielders, you could take a risk. Maybe he's going to do that kind of Daniel Kerr renaissance year kind of thing where he comes good again for the Saints, but I'm not going to back him in on that one. Toby Green, the machine at GWS. Can he keep it up? I'm going to say no. Second year blues a little bit. I still think he'll have plenty of good games, played a good footy, but I mean you can't expect $500,000 worth of value out of a second year player in my opinion. So probably give him a miss at that price. Michael Barlow, I've discussed, could be a good alternative option in the midfield. He's a ball magnet, and so having guys like him and Tuck, whatever, they could be good options in your draft style games where you can maybe promote those a bit higher up, and where players you're likely to miss out on the top 10 or 15 midfielders. If you put those two guys up a bit higher, you might get an advantage, if you know what I mean, by not putting them up, by skipping past a few players that maybe are defenders or forwards, and getting a stronger, deeper midfield with guys like Barlow and Tuck in it. He's got them missing the first few games, suspension. Yeah, he's he's getting on, and I don't think he's an option. Drew Bartel, as discussed, looks like he's in peak form again, so definitely consider him along with Tuck and Barlow and stuff as maybe alternatives. Lenny Hayes, the great one. Good to see him coming back and still going strong. Luke Shuey, he's one of the two real rising gun midfielders floating around. I think Luke Shuey and I think Rory Sloane at Adelaide are probably a couple of the really good ones that are knocking about at the moment, that are knocking on the door of getting into that top notch, along with Brian Griffin. So definitely keep an eye on him. Dane Zorko we talked about in the forward line. He's definitely more value as a forward than as a midfielder. Matt Priddis is, as I discussed, with Tuck and Barlow and the like. If you had an alternative midfield to maybe have a unique team, then you'd be looking at maybe Priddis, Tuck, Bartel, and Barlow as those kind of players that can really take you forward and be consistent players as well, rather than just unique players. So plenty of premiums here. Tom Rockcliffe, probably better as a forward in 2013. Cade Simpson, never misses games, consistent player. Dale Thomas, is discussed in the forward podcast, injured, so probably not an option in 2013. Mitch Robertson was also mentioned in the forward podcast. Bryce Gibbs, probably more value as a defender. Probably going to be the premium defender of 2013, I think, so he should definitely be used as a defender. Kane Corns, you never quite, you can't be sure what you're going to get out of Kane Corns in 2013. He was once a 100 point plus midfielder, fell away, came back a bit last year. Just too many question marks over where he sits at Port Adelaide at the moment, I think. So, but if he's going well, he may be an option to upgrade. As to a Nick Del Santo later on in the year. Rory Sloane, as mentioned, is probably one of the 2 or 3 players that are knocking the door to move into the top bracket of midfielders, with Shuey and Griffin, I think. Jared McVeigh, the old warhorse at the Swans, who just keeps on pumping out fantastic footy, but still at his age, probably you have to bet against him, I suppose, but a brave man to bet against Jared McVeigh, I suppose, but probably no longer at his very, very peak, and with the Swans that month behind, and yeah, probably steer clear. Sam Gibson, just purely because he was a boon rookie recruit last year, going up to 468. You could probably see him sliding back a bit, although I expect North to be very good in 2013, so maybe he'll hold his price point there, but I couldn't see him going up any, and there's probably too much risk involved with picking him at that price. Andrew Crouch's role at Carlton, I think, is going to change in the Mick Malthouse. So I wouldn't have him purely as a midfielder. When he was a mid defender last year, I think there was a lot of value in Andrew Crouch, but as a midfielder, there's not. Chris Judd looks like his injuries, all the battles he's been through, look like they're beginning to catch up with him, to be honest. Still a great player, but not going to give you those big hundreds anymore. Not that he ever really churned those out anyway, but I don't think he's there. Jordan Lewis, dual position. He can be a good player, can be a bad player. So I'm not sold on Jordan Lewis for 213, but Jordan Lewis is one of those frustrating players. You can churn out big scores and not. I don't know what to do with Jordan Lewis. Put him on your watch list. That's what I'm going to be doing. If he's having a good season, then be one of those $1 moving, and that dual position option, really attractive actually. Yeah, watch list Jordan Lewis. Nat Fife, I think, should be in everyone's team at that price. He's only at that price because of injuries last year. People are worried about his shoulders and stuff. I think he's probably going to win the Brownlow in 2013. There you go. You heard it first. That's my early pick of the year. Nat Fife, Brownlow, 2013. Brilliant player. Both Supercoach and Dreamteam. Do it. Brad Sewell, one of the ageing midfielders, as I talked about in previous podcasts. Sewell, Mitchell, Hodge, Burgoyne. They're all kind of 30-year-old midfielders, and if Whitecross and Savage and the like don't kind of step up, there doesn't seem to be that young midfield general coming through at Hawthorn that they probably need. Now that's probably because, in hindsight, they made a couple of bad draft picks with what was it? Mitch Thorpe, I think at pick 6, and then there was another key position forward they took, I think at pick 5, who they delisted a couple of years after. He was a young kid who had a hip problem from a car accident. I can't remember his name right now. Bugger. But I think those 2 draft picks are maybe coming back to haunt their midfield at the moment. They probably didn't need those 2 forwards, actually. They probably needed a midfielder. So Um, yeah, so I'm going to steer clear of the older Hawthorn midfielders this year, I think. Nathan Jones is a real honest player. A little bit like Tucky at Richmond. That honest midfield front player that'll give you everything every week. So if he fitted into your salary cap price point, I don't think you'll go too wrong with Nathan Jones. He'll churn out the same points pretty much every week like a machine. Brent Harvey, as discussed, probably on the way out. David Mundy, much like Nat 5, way underpriced because of injuries. So, but at his best, he's an awesome midfielder who can rack up massive points. So he's a really good choice. Jude Bolton, mentioned him in the forwards, probably not in 2013. So let's go to the midfielders. Daniel Wells, probably going to just have another good year. Andrew Gaff, a lot of people are talking up as going to explode. I don't see that in Andrew Gaff. I see a player that'll gradually improve year after year, and before you know it, you'll have an awesome midfielder, but he's not going to be one of those players that has a real breakout year, I don't think, Andrew Gaff. So Wells and Gaff, probably much of the same, I think, in 2013. Dyson Heppel's more value as a midfielder, as I discussed, as a defender, as I discussed in the defensive podcast. And I think at that price, he's going to play with him, likely to play more time in the midfield from what I've seen in the pre-season. I think he's a lock in defence, so probably not a great option, although that dual position option obviously makes him an option as a midfielder as well. Matthew Wright, probably better value as a forward, in my opinion. Harley Bennell. This guy could easily also, from the mid-price players, he could go up into the elite midfielders of the competition, to be honest. He had some brilliant games last year, and at 438, probably also be a unique pick and a value pick in 2013. Dustin Martin, better value as a forward, but as he's a dual position, he can come in the midfield as well, but I'd put him in as a forward. Chris Maston, keep him out of your Supercoach teams, but Dreamteam, he seems to be gathering pace year after year. After some injuries in his first few years, last year he really started to improve, so he could be an option. As to as Ben Hallett, he's a consistent performer for Essendon. So if you need someone at that price point, definitely, much like Nathan Jones, as I mentioned, he churns out points pretty consistently, so keep an eye on him. I think Jack Stephen and Travis Boak will be much of the same. Travis Boak will be interesting underneath Ken Hinkley to see how his game evolves, but I don't think his numbers will go up terribly, but I mean they could skyrocket under a new coach, or they could go the other way if they give him a new, maybe more defensive role as well, so keep an eye on that. David Zaharakis had a good practice game today in the reserves for the Bombardiers. His leg injury from last year, though, concerns me, so... and also they've taken his dual position player status away, so probably not as much value in terms of just being a midfielder. Nathan Van Berlo, yeah, he's a good solid player, but probably not someone to really look at. Mitch Wallace is probably a little bit overpriced, I think, at 427. Going to be a great player one day, but I still think he's got a lot of work to do in his game overall. Cyril Rioli, injured. I just an unreliable performer, both within games and over a season. I think he floats in and out of games and gets injured during seasons. So if he ever puts in a full season where he's fully fit, he's going to absolutely be one of the top 4 or 5 in the competition. But it is a bit of a risk to roll the dice with him. Showed Rellingham, Trampoline Man, give him a miss. Adam Trelaw, he'll probably get that value out of himself again. He's a very good player, Adam Trelaw. But I'm just a bit wary of the second year at GWS. So all those GWS players I kind of had last year, like Adam Kennedy and Adam Trelaw, Toby Green, Will Hoskin-Elliott. There were a few others that I had, and a few others most people had last year. I think I'm going to be wary of them. Dan Hanbury, he's a good player. Still waiting for him to take that very next step, and I don't think he'll get into the very, very top of the midfield brigade in the AFL, but he'll be in that rung kind of below, in that, I mean, it's nothing to be ashamed about, but in that kind of Brad Sewell kind of rung, that kind of, you've got your top maybe 20 midfielders, and then the 20 that probably sit below them, and I think that's where he'll get to. So there'll be a little bit of improvement in Dan Hanbury, I think, but not as much as most people think. Hamish Hartlett, though, I think he could be one of the better players. Well, he could be the best player at Port, actually. When he got drafted, I rated him up there with Trent Cotchin in terms of ability. And as a defender this year, I think he is vital to anyone's defensive backline. So probably not as a midfielder this year. Pick Hamish Hartlett as a defender. Simon Black, injuries is well on the way. I think this must be his last year. It's a shame to see him kind of go out, kind of breaking down and stuff. But I'm glad he's still having a crack. But hopefully he won't hang on too long past his best, because no one wants to kind of see that either. Mitch Duncan is improving at Geelong, so he could get a lot more of the footy in 2013, so keep an eye on him. Clinton Young, I don't think will do much at Collingwood. I don't think he's the kind of player they actually needed. Bernie Vince is too inconsistent for mine. Stephen Cornelio will one day be one of the better midfielders in the league, but I think there's more value further down. Ditto with Jack Zeeble. I don't think he's quite ready to move into the top bracket this year. Ryan Bastanak, running machine, probably will improve this year, but not that much. Isaac Smith, he's an interesting player, Isaac Smith. I'm not sure what to make of him. He gets good games great games for like 4, 5, 6 weeks, and then he'll drop away for a few weeks, I think, and then come back again and be great again. And those frustrating players, but I guess that's because he's more of an outside player than inside. It kind of relies on the team's form and whether he's going well. Luke Hodge, injuries all the time. You can't pick him in the Dreamteam. Probably the same for Joel Corey. Problems with injuries. Tendai Mazungo under Ross Lyon, I don't think it's the same value as people think he is. Colin Sylvia, I'll end up with Colin Sylvia at the end of the year. I know it. I've already penciled him in for round 13 or something to trade him in. He's destined to be in my team again. Lewis Jetta, probably not good enough to be considered as a midfielder. Adam Cooney would be an interesting one to watch. If he was back down at 350 or something, I reckon I probably would have picked him. I've just got this funny feeling that Adam Cooney's got 1 year or 2 years left in him of really top stuff. I know people are worried about his knees and kneecap and stuff, but there's something that tells me that he's going to have a period where, I don't know. I'm probably not. I'm probably making stuff up in my head, but I think Adam Cooney has still got value as a dream teamer here and there, but probably not at that price. You probably want him to go down to maybe 300 odd, and then that's probably his right price point. Taylor Adams is one of those GWS players I mentioned before. Probably give him a miss. Ben Cunnington will be an interesting player to watch at North, whether or not he gets more footy. Probably not a good Supercoach option because of his disposal. Dom Cassisi, can he keep racking stuff up in 2013? He's one of those consistent players. Probably just he should probably be up with the Tucks and Pritters and stuff in the AFL, and maybe he'll get back to that form in 2013. We'll wait and see. Daniel Kerr, injury pre-season at West Coast. After a great year last year, I think he's going to go back to the frustrating Daniel Kerr from years before. Tom Scully, I think he's been swamped with other talented football players at GWS and he's lost his way a bit, I think. But he's got plenty of money, so what does he care? He'll come back to Melbourne in 5 years' time anyway. David Swallow, he is undervalued at 380. He could have a brilliant year. At 380,000, David Swallow is definitely one to look at in your midfield players. As to his Dylan Sheila, who had injury problems in his first year, so he could be one of the GWS players that improves in his second. Reece Conker looks to have put on some weight and some bulk, could improve his game in 2013. Sean Burgoyne, I think age will catch up with him in 2013 and he'll go backwards. Monfries is one to watch as the year goes on. As to his Lower, Nick Lower was a good player when he went over to Fremantle before he got delisted. I was surprised they delisted him actually. I thought he had a lot to offer, especially with Fremantle's game style. But he's made his way to the Doggies and he played well today on Trent Cotchin as a tagger. So it's probably just that tagging role that probably say no. And Luke Parker at the Swans. He's probably one to keep an eye on. It'll be interesting to see how he progresses through his career. I'm not sure exactly how good Luke Parker is. A lot of people got massive raps on him. I see a very good player, but he's a very, very, very good player. I'm not willing to bet on that in terms of Dream Team. Luke Ball got some injury concerns at the moment, so probably give him a miss. He might be one to move sideways on later on in the year. Stephen Hill, outside player. I don't think he'll ever be a top Dream Teamer. Josh Caddy at Geelong. He's probably one I think that'll slowly improve in stages throughout his career rather than having a massive breakout. So I don't expect him to do gigantic things for Geelong, but he'll definitely get better. His price will go up to 328. I reckon you'll make 100,000 out of Josh Caddy easy if you got him in your team. But by that same token, he has himself had injury problems with his feet and stuff, so there's still that hanging over him, I think. And Michael Rischkatelli. What happened to him last year? The metronome of 100 points disappeared. Had a horrible year. But at 322, he may be worth a look. He has been playing in the pre-season. It's hard to gauge the score. You see 50 points in the pre-season, but they're shortened games, different game times, different rules, so it's hard to put a game on. I would say at 322,000, Michael Rischkatelli is worth the risk. Dom Tyson's injured his knee, so don't worry about him. Brent Maloney is probably the mid-price pick that a lot of people will have. Probably get good 70s, 80s, 90s out of him most weeks. Which at the start of the year is probably all you want, and his price will go up, so it'll allow you to upgrade to someone as well. Robbie Gray is probably a mid-season look. Jack Nunes is a young St Kilda player who looks like he's on the way up, and definitely one to watch in 2013. Andrew Emily injured in the pre-season again for West Coast. Probably not one you'll have. Xavier Ellis could fill the role left by the injured Matt Suckling, so he's worth looking at. Jordan Gisbert's probably a fair way down the pecking order at North, I think. I don't think he's going to get a good look. And Kane Lucas at Carlton had a very good NAB Cup Grand Final, getting lots of the footy around that half-back area. His kicking's a concern. I think, well, probably a concern for Carlton. And I hear he's also had some confidence issues in the past. Where's he at under Mick Malthouse? Will Mick Malthouse get more out of him? He probably will. So, 251,000 could be a really good unique pick and a really good value pick. Travis Varco, discussed, probably better as a forward, although as a mid-priced midfielder, he could also be an option to put in your midfield so you can bring in the types of Rockcliffe and Martin to your midfield when you need to. Okay, so through to the rookies. Lockie Whitfield's a top end rookie because he's number one draft pick, so 183. It's a fair bit to churn out. You got to remember GWS will have their rotations in place again, so you probably only get 15 or 16 games out of him as well. But you can expect him to go up to about 350, so there's probably a bit of money to be made there. John O'Rourke, not sure. Well, he's probably in the same boat as Whitfield. George Fulton-Smith is a very good player at Geelong. He's going to be a gun, I think, George Fulton-Smith. Be interesting to see how much game time he gets at Geelong this year. Ditto with Jimmy Toumpas, he's going to be a very good player. Elliot Kavanagh at Essendon, he's going to take a little bit of time to develop, I think. I don't think he's as great a player as probably everyone talked him up to be, or as ready for AFL football as people talked him up to be, especially his father. Jackson McRae, Will of the Wisp at the Doggies. He'll be a good player once he fills out. Oliver Wines, he has filled out and he is ready to roll and will be a Supercoach gem definitely and a Dreamteam gem as well. 156, he's probably the pick of the more top end draft picks in 2013, I think. Sam Mayers will have to work his way through Brisbane. I don't think he'll play that much. Nick Boston at Richmond at 147, you'll probably see him play much like Brandon Ellis, who'll probably play a lot of games compared to the GWS rookies. So you'll probably get maybe 20 games out of Nick Flostone. Trimental knee issues, so you probably want to give him a miss in 2013. Jesse Lonergan, I think, hurt his shoulder today. Other than that, I think Jesse Lonergan was probably one of the top half a dozen players in the draft, to be honest. I think he's going to be a brilliant player. Brett Goods, awesome game for the Dogs against the Tigers today. Surely he's going to get upgraded to the Doggies main list. Kay Mitchell, more mature player from Claremont who won the Sandover. He had a good 100-point game a few weeks ago and then had another good game today. Definitely worth it. Brad Crouch was taken in the mini draft the year before last, same as Jager O'Meara. So he's definitely one that I think is in everyone's midfield rookie strategies. Tom Sheridan is a young player from Fremantle who gets a lot of the footy in the waffle. He is a real dark horse, but there's just so many rookies that I'm hoping a guy like Sheridan maybe won't get a look in for a little bit deeper into the year at Fremantle as his game develops. If he does, he might be one of those mid-season picks you can use to make some money on the rookies that have done better early on in the year. Jager O'Meara is the number one rookie selection in the midfield. Everyone should have him. He's going to win the Norwich Rising Star. Put down your glasses. He's home and hosed. He's a 90, 100-point player already. Jed Anderson. Hawthorn must be rubbing their hands together getting Jed Anderson from GWS. He's going to be a very good player one day. Tom Mitchell at the Swans. I don't know what's going on with Tom Mitchell. Where is Tom Mitchell? What's his third year now? Haven't seen him. Supposed to be one of the best young players going around, but I know he's playing in the twos, but if you don't start playing one soon, he's going to fall out of touch a bit, I think. So hopefully we'll see him. Dean Towers, mature Ballarat recruit for the Swans, mature age, a lot of pace and athletic. Be interesting to see where he fits in the Swans. whether or not they maybe give him that role, same as Gary Rowan. But probably not into Dean Towers. 2013. Nathan Rovat for the Doggies. He's a ball magnet. He's a wee little fella, but we'll see how he goes in 2013, and he may be an option as well. He'd be around the edges of a lot of rookie strategies, I think. Probably relying on who gets selected in round one. Ditto with Ben Kennedy. He's going to find it a bit tougher at a club like Collingwood to get games, but Collingwood do put a lot of faith into the young players, so he could do really well, and he has played against men in the SANFL and done well before, so that's in his favour. Matt Jones did really well for Melbourne today, so he's an option. Jack Viney would be in a lot of people's strategies as well. He'll get a lot of games for Melbourne in 2013 as they try to develop their young midfield. Sam Colquhoun did really well for Port today. I think he's going to get a game. I was surprised he got overlooked in the main drafts and got taken in the rookie, so he does need to get elevated. Keep that in mind. But being that midfield defender, he brings a lot to the table, being that maybe number 10 midfielder, being able to give you the flexibility of being a guy like maybe Gibbs into your midfield if you've got some injury woes. So, and he does find a lot of the footy, Sam Colquhoun, so he is a lot of value, I think, at 102,000, and probably a lock for many a person. Lachlan Hannes, father-son at the Doggies, probably 2013 will be a development year for him, I think. Sam Dwyer discussed as a forward, mature age VFL player at the Pies. Been playing in the pre-season, be interesting to see the round one and how he goes. So these are the possible lineups that I think for the premiums. I've gone Swan, Ablett. They're your two captains, locked away. Best two midfielders in the competition via a fair bit, I think. And then I've gone Cochin. I think Cochin could legitimately move up to that standard, I think, along with, Boyd's also there with those two. So he could get up there with those guys, I think. And Nat Fife is well underpriced as a premium, and as I say, I think he's going to win the Brownlow and have a brilliant year, Nat Fife. The foot soldier, the single foot soldier, Brent Maloney at Brisbane. I think just at the start of the year, having a guy at that price churning out 70s, 80s, 90s most weeks, I think will be invaluable, and his price will go up, which takes a bit of pressure off the rookies, which I've gone Crouch. He's a gun at Adelaide. O'Meara, who will be the rising star, I think, and is probably, might even be a rookie that moves up, and that you actually can't trade him because he does so well, so he's ready to go. Viney, as mentioned. Wines at Port Adelaide is a gun, and Colquhoun for his ball winning and also dual position status. So that's how I'm looking for my midfield. So there's been a league set up. It's 653723 is the league code. So get in there and join the league. It'd be great to play against all you guys. And finally, these are all the links again. Website, Twitter, Facebook, iTunes. Go for it. And that's the end. Week to go until the first couple of games of round one start. Essendon, Adelaide on the Friday night kicks off the AFL season, and then we have GWS and Sydney on Saturday night. Remember, there's rolling lockouts through the first few rounds, so even on Friday night, you'll still be able to make, after Friday night, you'll still be able to make trades on everyone else bar Essendon and Adelaide players who will be locked in your team. Then you'll have a rolling lockout going to the Sydney GWS game, and after that, you'll have 4 sets of players locked into your team that you won't be able to move about. So there's still a bit of flexibility even after on those first couple of games. So keep that in mind that